All right, boys. Trade deadline's passed. A lot of big deals. We got good old Mikko Rantanen get traded for the second time this year somehow. I don't remember the last time somebody got traded twice in 1 year.
Even at his caliber of player, like, I don't think of anybody
that good of a player.
That kind of a player. Like you heard about players getting traded.
Yeah.
Like Joe Thornton getting traded like halfway through the season, right? But like you never heard about. You didn't see Joe Thornton get traded once and then get traded again. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just wild to me that Carolina couldn't even make it work, and then they just said, "Well, let's just move on from him."
Not only that, forget that fact. The fact that Carolina executed a sign and trade, which is something that's very frequent in the NBA.
Yeah.
But you rarely see it in the NHL to this level, this caliber of a player. Initially, when the talks came out about Rantanen potentially getting moved again from Carolina, we were talking, we're like, "Man, that's going to be a shitty return that they get back." But the fact that it was a sign and trade was something.
I don't hate this return. Like I like Logan Stankoven a lot. I think he's a solid player. But for this Carolina Hurricanes team, where they are at right now, they need more players that are gonna make them better in this moment. And I think them trying to make this whole sign and trade thing happen, their GM said it himself. He's like, it holds back from making more trades. So I think it hurts them more than anything at this point where they are as a team.
I agree, definitely, Sertaj. I thought once they got the haul back, they were going to take some of those picks and then go get someone else.
Yeah.
Someone like even Brock Besser, for example. Right?
Yeah.
So I get what the Carolina GM is saying, but surely there must have been enough time, and there were other names available that you could have pulled the trigger. Mm-hmm. They're in win now. They got all these guys locked up. They got, some say, the best defenseman in the NHL. Why not take a flyer on Brock Besser or something? You could get like maybe 60% of the value that you probably would have had for Nikach or Rantanen. But if you're contending and you're in the weaker Eastern Division, I'm perplexed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Logan Stankoven. He's the perfect Carolina guy. Potential. Will he reach that potential or will he not? Because that's all we've been hearing about, all these like up and coming guys on Carolina. Are they going to become like, or are they going to take the step?
Right.
Seth Jarvis is going to take the next step.
Svechnikov
is going to take the next step, right? It's been like 5 years of hearing about they got these guys. Are they going to do something with it? Like, to the fact that, I give JP a lot of shit about Aho, but Aho, like, he's developed into the player he is, right? He's a two-way guy. He'll give you a point per game. But the rest of the guys, they haven't developed to what Carolina needs them to be.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that's the same thing with they got Logan Stankoven, but I don't know if he's gonna also be
he's still a rookie, so he's still in his rookie season. He was pretty good last year for Dallas in the playoffs.
I remember he was good in the playoffs, but
I don't think he's like that impact player that you'd want if you're Carolina, right? Because you still need like that big piece to help Aho in the playoffs.
Yeah, you talk about those other players. Zach, they had a young guy that finally lived up to his potential. His name is Marty Nikach, and then they traded him for 13 games of Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah,
so that's interesting.
You guys see Nikach talking shit? He's like, they should have waited if they knew if he was going to. They should have done a sign and trade themselves.
Exactly, they should have. Right, he's 100% right. Nikach is going to be chilling. I think
he's chilling.
He's saying he's found a home.
Yeah.
I think that. The return that they got back, you would think that they would take some of those other picks and then try to move it for someone else, considering that they're still a contender. Maybe they didn't like the price because, it is a seller's market this time around for the trade deadline. But still, you should have flipped one of them. I'm
wondering if it's just like inexperience from their GM, because, most GMs, they always have the second deal set up already. Like the Canucks, they shit the bed this trade deadline, but we're not going to talk about them. What they did when they traded away JT Miller, they acquired Marcus Peterson right away. Like an hour or two later.
Yeah.
They had that deal already set up. They're like, just wait, we're going to get the pieces, and then we'll get it to you. And then the deal got done like an hour later, 2 hours later, something like that. I feel like they should have the same thing where, hey, we're going to get this piece, the trade's about to be done, we'll send them over to you right away.
Right.
But maybe the whole sign and trade thing, the signing the contract probably took like an extra day for them and just ruined the situation.
Sorry to cut you off, Sertaj, and the only reason I'm jumping the gun here is it's a little perplexing because there were still other names on the market at the close of the trade deadline. So you could have pulled the trigger. Like, sure, you didn't get option A, but go get option B. You're still a contender, right? Facts. Why wouldn't you take a flyer on Brock Besser at this stage? Yeah. Apparently, Canucks GM says that there weren't any adequate offers for him, but a decent offer you probably could have gotten Brock Besser.
Yeah, easily.
Right? And
they had what, 2 firsts? No, they had 2 firsts. Yeah,
2 thirds.
2 firsts and 2 thirds. They could easily flipped one of those first and a third for Besser.
They definitely. And then you can sell your team and your fan base that we're still going for it this year. Instead, now you're left with Aho on an island effectively.
Yeah, basically. Now you have to wait for Stankoven to become a premium guy. Now you have to hope Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy. I was going to say Jeff Hardy, but Seth Jarvis to become a top tier guy. Right,
Yeah.
so now you're just like back to you're back. You're not, every year it's the same thing with Carolina. I feel like now they just took a step back. Now they're not. They're like they're not in the.
If you look at the team from last year compared to this year, they're not as promising as we were going to playoffs last year. Like, they brought in Gensel. Their top six looks solid. Their defense looks solid. And now I'm just like, I'm not sure. It's all on Logan Stankoven to have like a quick turnaround here in Carolina this season.
But if at the end of the day, turning Marty Nikac into Logan Stankoven, like, is that what's really transpired here?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just keep Marty Nikac then? If that was
exactly
like, and especially considering the season he was having, a lot of for lack of a better term, blunders on the Carolina front.
Facts.
One thing I'm glad for them is that they were able to salvage to some extent what they gave up for Rantanen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, SB, I'm with you, man. I think they should have taken some of those picks. If not Brock Besser, go get someone else, because it's a puncher's chance in the playoffs. You have a good enough team, and you owe it to your team to double down and get someone like Brock Besser, if not him, someone
100%.
else.
Like, now what's Slavin gonna do? He's not gonna have a chance to show off in the playoffs now because
Right. Yeah.
great
Exactly.
going. You just ruined his moments. All right, he just he's up and coming.
Right. He's been in the league for like 10 years, but he's up and coming.
The next big thing is like,
Yeah, it took him 10 years to become something.
On the flip side, though, I'm sure you guys probably feel similarly. I like this move for Dallas.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I like that they got
100%.
the extra trigger man now. I think it helps Jason Robertson a lot too, because Jason Robertson, I think last year in the playoffs struggled for so long to score, and now that you have him being like the secondary scoring option and Rantanen being the first guy, it allows him to get more open looks and stuff like that too, right?
100%. Go ahead.
I know people are really high on Mikko Rantanen still. I think he's not the player he was in Colorado.
Yeah, he's not.
But he's not going to be as bad as he was in Carolina. I think he's more around like a point per game type of guy.
100%. I agree.
Dallas desperately needed someone like of that caliber. I don't think he's going to be the savior
Yeah.
in any stretch of the imagination. But now that they're loaded, man.
Facts.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't not want to play Dallas in the
Yeah.
playoffs if I'm a
100%.
contender, man.
I was looking at their lineup from the top 9 is just deadly. They have 3 lines and Rantanen, and if you put Rantanen, what you could do is like Wyatt Johnson with Rantanen and then have Hintz and Robertson playing together. You have 2 solid duos right there, and you could even put in the old heads, do Shane and Sega and Ben together or something like that.
Come on, right?
Like, you got all these other guys that just can put up points, and you're a problem.
And then you have the good defenseman as well.
Yeah.
And then Ottinger net, right?
And,
It's a formidable force.
And I mean, their blue line is solid. Like, we saw Thomas Harley. Everybody's hyping up Jacob Slavin. I think Thomas Harley did a better job of boosting his stock at the Four Nations
he
this
100%
year.
did. I'm just gonna say, when that Dallas Colorado match happens, that's gonna be a great match. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yes.
Duchesne
Revenge game.
and Rantanen got something to say now.
Right.
They got something to say, and then probably McKinnon probably wants to prove something too. That
Yeah,
he's
against his old teammates.
I don't need these guys. I can do whoever you give to me. I can handle it. I'll do it.
No, that's gonna be must-see TV.
Yeah.
They've met a few times in the playoffs the last 5 years
Yeah.
or so.
But there's
And
now
Dallas has taken them out twice now.
Yeah, that
right.
too, yeah.
So
And then there's new angles now too, especially with Rantanen, like
Right.
Zach said.
Yeah.
That new beef. And I mean, I think Colorado did a good job with this trade deadline as well, bringing in Brock Nelson and Charlie. Their center is pretty solid now. They got 2 vets up the middle. One guy who could score, who's pretty good at scoring goals, Brock Nelson, and Charlie Cole's been playing with that Boston team for so long.
Yeah, he's got experience in the playoffs, so
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about him.
the one thing about Joe Sakic, Trader Joe, is that he'll pay top value
Yeah.
for any
Top
asset
dollar.
if he thinks it's going to help him win the cup.
Yeah.
I like that as a fan for Colorado because, like, what are you going to do with these late firsts at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
You can recoup that in other ways.
Especially not Colorado. Your team isn't win now with McKinnon and McCarr.
But he
get
paid a
them.
premium, man.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to make sense of. Let's look at the Brock Nelson.
Brock
trade first.
Nelson, and William Defoe himself, Green Goblin,
Green
for
Goblin.
a 2026 or 2027 first, 2028 conditional 3rd round pick. Kalen Ritchie, Oliver Killington, he got flipped to Anaheim, and then 50%. They retained 50% of his contract.
Well,
I think the first is like the biggest thing that you give up here.
and I think Richie was drafted high.
Oh yeah,
a few years
he
ago,
was a
right?
2023 first round pick.
I like that. I like this trade better than the latter one they did.
Right.
I mean, it's sure Brock Nelson. I think Brock Nelson is a quality second or third line center to have for a playoff run
Yeah.
with McKinnon. Like, that's going to be something you don't want to see.
Yeah.
But then the second trade was interesting because
Charlie Coyle in the 2026 fifth round pick for Casey Middlestat, William Zellers, and
Yeah.
a second round pick from 2025.
I'm kind of shocked they traded those because those guys were playing well. Right?
I think they just gave up on. I think they're just like Casey Middlestat might not be ready for a playoff run this year.
Oh, so they're like,
because he's their what? He'd be their second round or third line center, I guess. And I think Coyle fits better as a third line center. on a veteran team.
Hey, this is a smart move by him. He's like, hey, this kid's not ready. We gotta win now.
Yeah.
We don't have time to help you develop. We need we're moving fast. And they're like, Boston already tapped out, so Boston might as well take him and start rebuilding around those.
He's
guys.
still young too. He's 26 years. Oh, he's in the middle of his. I think the Boston's just retooling again, like they did like 10 years ago.
Time will tell on this trade, but this trade, like you guys are saying, definitely is one that Joe Sakic is indicating. Like we think we have a chance to win it this year.
Yeah,
and if we're not going to lose on the fact that we don't have a good third line center.
Yeah.
Like Middlestat. To be honest, I won't even do that trade 1-for-1 for Coyle and Middlestat.
Yeah,
because Coyle's a little over the hill now, and they gave up a second.
True, they gave up a lot.
They gave the higher pick in that too, right? Colorado got back a fifth.
That's
Coyle.
It really is a seller's market. Just traded away Charlie Coyle, third line center, for a guy who's like a second line center or upcoming second line center at some point, and a second round pick. That's insane.
That's I was really taken aback, but it was a seller's market this year.
Yeah,
and Joe Sakic, man, he's the one GM, him and the Tampa GM, more than anyone I've seen in the last few years, that will pay even more than market value in order to get a piece.
Yeah, 100%. We said fuck them picks to those two.
Yeah, they always say fuck them picks. Yeah,
because the Bjorkstad and
that trade's a great trade too. Bjorkstrand, Yanni Gordon. What did they trade for? Let me just quickly look.
It was from Seattle. Yanni Gordon, Bjorkstad. 2 first went back to Seattle. Right?
Yeah.
And those are high. That's a high price for 2 middle 6 forwards.
Yeah.
I like Gordon Bjorkstad, but you wouldn't think that they would each garner a first, or like however you want to slice this trade.
How old is Bjorkstrand? I think he's in his mid-20s.
He's got to be closer to 30 by now, man.
He's 29. He's 29.
Yeah.
I was watching TSN today. They're like, he's younger. Bjorkstrand's younger. I'm like, how young is this guy? He's been around for a while.
You know, I sent that thing in the group about how Tampa Bay only used 2 of their picks since 2 of the first round picks since 2018.
And they traded one.
Yeah, they traded
in this trade, I think. Or no, was it, what's the name?
They took Cal Foote, and then they took one other player.
They gave Cal Foote. Who did they trade Cal Foote to?
I thought he was
he not in this trade?
I thought he was in a trade last year. Maybe I'm tripping, but
yeah, probably was.
So we have Dallas and Tampa and Colorado, and I'd add one more team, Florida. I think these 4 teams, this trade deadline showed more than anyone that we're going all in, and we're paying whatever it takes to go all in.
Yeah, I think one more team I'm throwing out there is Toronto. I think Toronto did a pretty good job with adding Brandon Carlo. I think Carlo's a good blue liner.
Yeah,
and like kind of a stay at home guy. Their blue line is rounding up pretty nicely, I would say.
I kind of feel like he got overshadowed a little bit by the other guy on Philly. What's his name?
Laughton.
You know,
I'm surprised.
They acted like Laughton was like he was like the top. He's a top tier shutdown man. Like they're acting like this guy is the greatest player. You know what? Me and Jordan were joking right before we started. Like, you know, what's up with these Tony Allen type of guys? Just doing all this hype. Like we get it. Like at this point, like it's good, but like you're selling your whole farm system for a 40. Like what did they give up for? Did they give for first right for him?
First of all, Laughton?
A first for Laughton. Was it a first round pick? I think. But I think it was
they gave up Nikolai Gabrinkin, a conditional first round pick in 2027, and then Philly retained 50%.
That's what I just like to like to the fact that like Tampa and these guys they'll give up these first round picks for like 40, 30 point guys is wild to me.
Yeah,
but like, at the end of the day, Zach, if you're Toronto and you're looking back and it's like the reason we didn't win a cup is we didn't have a third line center.
That's true,
right? It's just like that's a hole you should be able to fill.
Yeah.
If you don't have a top line guy, then that's a different story. But this is something that a GM should be able to address a need, and that's what they did. And that's what you're saying, Sertaji, like the move defenseman depth with Carlo, and then like a solid third line center in Scott Laughton, because now you have like a good foundation if you're playing against Toronto. I think a bigger question for Toronto, this is a different question or a different issue for another time, is will their big dogs be able to get it done in the postseason?
That's what they need. That's always been the problem, right? Like Marner, Matthews, Nylander, even Tavares, all of them probably showed up in one run when they won that first round matchup against Tampa Bay. That was the one time you actually saw them all step up and actually help the team win. Outside of that, it's like usually, are they going to show up this year? Are they going to show up? Are they too soft? There's all those question marks around them. And I think that's why they brought in Scott Laughton, because he does play with like an edge. He's kind of he's a guy who like, I don't know if he fights that much, but I know he's like a little
more grittier type, right?
Yeah, he's kind of gritty and all that. But I think a lot of their moves just signifies that they have to go all in because they don't know what's going to happen in the offseason with Marner. And we'll talk about that in another video too. But Marner, we don't know if Marner will be back next year. We don't know how much money he's going to get. We don't know what happens with Tavares. So I think they're just going to, chips all in. We're going to go for it with these guys.
As they should be, and they should have been doing this for a long
100%.
time.
They should
right?
be doing
And
this
they kind of have been, but this time around, if the Maple Leafs don't get to the promised land or don't make a deep playoff run, you're going to point squarely towards their top guys.
Yeah.
Because now they have forward depth and they got defenseman depth. They've got good goaltending tandem. And if you're a top tier guy, what more do you need, right? You're not going to have like a perfect team. But this is going to be as good as it gets for Toronto.
I think with them, the biggest worry is that you're running into two monster teams that just loaded up too, right?
Like I was going to say, we want to talk about going all in. The Florida Panthers,
Seth Jones, JP, you've been saying all year, somebody's got to pick him up. And who picks him up other than the Stanley Cup champions?
These guys like, oh, you want to see a repeat? Yeah. I'll show you a repeat.
Yeah. You know what? That trade happened a week ago, but I liked it for both teams. I like that trade for Florida as a team who's trying to win now, and I like that team for Chicago who finds their goalie in the future. And his first game was insane. We had 40 something saves.
Definitely, I like the trade for both teams. I think that it's kind of interesting for Toronto fans. They load up, but then Tampa like. Toronto's like, okay, we're going to load up to here. And Tampa, Florida, oh, we'll show you how to fucking load up. We're going all the way up here, right? Yeah. We're throwing everything that we can. I wonder what we'll do for Aaron Ekblad in the offseason. Because, Seth Jones is still making quite a bit of money.
I think he's, his contract down to $7 million a year? Something like that?
I like Seth Jones more than probably anyone.
Yeah. But he no Ekblad.
I might rather keep Ekblad over Seth Jones long term. So I don't know what's going to happen long term on that. But if you're Florida, you're looking at this situation like a contender should, which is every year by year, addressing your team and trying to make a run for the cup, right? Which is how you have to play it.
Yeah.
And which is why some of these contenders, like we mentioned earlier, paid such a high premium because they looked at their teams and they said, we're going all in no matter what. Better than some other teams, like the Canucks who did nothing, right?
Just sat on their ass.
Sat on their ass. Just sell someone if you don't think you're going to
what makes you laugh? I think Sertal said it that, they traded for Seth Jones. They could have just kept Brandon Montour.
Yeah, they wanted to. I think Montour would be $7 million too. But you know what? The only reason I think they didn't keep Montour is because the cap. They didn't know what the cap situation would have been like. And now that they know the cap situation is going to go up, they're like, okay, we should bring one more guy for
Should have called up Nashville to see what's up.
Yeah, true.
Well, the problem with Sertal is like hindsight's 2020 because they had to give up assets to get Seth Jones.
Yeah.
Right? Because you'd rather have those assets and Montour than
100%.
Seth Jones. I'd rather have Seth Jones and Montour one-on-one. But like you said, SB, the cap situation was unclear, and who knows what they were thinking during the
I think the one
season.
thing that Montour has that Seth Jones doesn't is that offensive side of the game, his game.
Yeah.
He was a good power play quarterback that they had. Right. And I think the year that they went to, the first year they went to the finals he was like a big he was getting a lot of big goals. He scored a lot of big goals on the power play. And I think I don't know if Seth Jones is at power play 1 QB that
Montour maybe now is the chance for him now that
now he's a chance to actually prove it. I think this might be the first year time in his career outside of like 2019 when he was playing with Columbus and maybe 2020 where the team's actually got talented players around him.
That
hasn't really been a factor.
I was gonna say maybe he's like vying for the top spot. Like he's battling those other guys. They're just as good. Forsling and Ekblad.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have as much responsibility anymore. So maybe he could be that. Maybe they're like, you know what? Just focus on offensive game. Be that our power play guy. But
what about the rat?
I got this rat, this gnawing, key-eating fucking rat.
Oh,
and they got the rat too.
They snuck out with the rat. Did they retain anything here? Yeah, they retained half his salary, so it doesn't matter. Contracts.
Not a bad price compared to some of these other prices paid for like Luke Shen, for example.
Even Charlie Coyle.
Charlie Coyle.
Yeah. Case middle stuff. And
a second. Don't forget the second.
Yeah, and the second.
And that's all they took, and essentially for Brand Marchand, right? Yeah. Unless they win the cup, then he becomes the first. Is that the qualifier?
Yeah, I think so.
Man, I solace for Toronto fans because I don't know if they'll take
that
serious.
Guess what? Now Mitch thought he was safe.
Yeah,
he thought he was safe because he knew Boston was gonna make it.
They became friends, man. They became friends at Fourth Nation. He thought,
you think they just stop Brad Marchand from being rat and undermining Mitch Marner after building up his confidence?
Well, people are losing it because now they got the three quote unquote rats. They got Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, and Brad Marchand.
The big three.
Yeah, we haven't seen a collection of rats like this since the 2011 Canucks, man. Burrows, Custer, and Max Lapierre.
That's true.
Rafi Torres.
This will be a dirty fucking playoff run from them. Watch all these guys are just doing the greasiest shake. Oh man.
You know what? They got hope. They got to hope their championship pedigree overcomes Marchand's ability to lose all these times, because this guy hasn't been able to do shit since Tim Thomas left.
Not just that, what about the insurance policy that they did have with Spencer Knight? Because, we're all fans of Bobrovsky.
Yeah, but he's 36.
And Bobrovsky's solid, but he's 36, and his playoff history has been like this, up and down.
Yeah, up and
The last
down.
few years has been up, but what if it's a down year?
Yeah.
They're contending. They could have really used Spencer Knight.
Even
if
in the
it's went awry.
series, even
They
in
brought in
series,
Vitek
he's-
Vanacek,
Yeah.
who's like a decent starter. He's not a bad, but I think Spencer Knight's still a better goalie than he is, and Bobrovsky's obviously way better than him.
Yeah, even I was gonna say Bobrovsky in playoff series, he's sometimes up and down.
Yeah,
in the
he's
series,
up and down. Even in the finals, he's
yeah,
up and
he's
down.
up and down in series. Yeah, you just never know what you're gonna get.
Didn't Spencer Knight almost take the job from him a few years ago?
Yeah,
in the
a few years
playoffs?
ago,
right? Because he was so bad in the playoffs.
I think it was the year before they went to the Stanley Cup Finals,
Yeah.
and then
and then he turned it around.
yeah, he turned it around.
But because of that, I was really taken aback that they did trade the insurance policy.
Yeah.
Considering Bobrovsky's
Same,
playoff history.
same.
But
if you want to win it, you gotta risk it.
Yeah.
You
right,
gotta
it's
give
like,
up something.
but yeah, honestly, you want to look at that situation and let's compare it to something that we're all close to our heart, the Vancouver 2011 situation. You got Corey Schneider, a premium asset on the bench, just sitting there,
Yeah.
and the Canucks didn't cash in, right? And then like
That's
years
facts.
later, we look at it like, okay, what was the point of having Corey Schneider there if you have, forget 36-year-old Bobrovsky, a prime Luongo, a guy who's shown a great ability
Yeah.
to play 70 games a year.
Yeah, Florida just shows you this is how you go all in.
Yeah.
This is how you do it right. This is how you chase championships. The Marchand move to me, like you said, he like his history with Boston. The thing about Boston, I think the difference with him in Boston and him in Florida is he's not the main guy in Florida
100%,
anymore.
that's true.
He's probably gonna play a third line, maybe a second line with the other two rats, like playing together and just pissing off their top line, right?
Yeah.
Or even playing with Barkov. He showed he could play with your guy's favorite two-way player. You know, Priest Bergeron his whole career.
Right.
He goes and plays with Barkov now.
You gotta learn out what real hockey players like now.
In terms of fits, I like those fits a lot. Seth Jones
100%.
and Brad Marchand on the Panthers. I think they're going to buy in. Florida's created this great culture
Yeah.
of trying to win the cup and going for it. They got Paul Maurice, who's, for all we know, players like playing for him. So
Yeah.
I think in terms of fit, I like those fits more than probably anyone else in the.
I think that and any additions made over the past week, these two
I
are
think
my
Florida.
favorite.
I was gonna say, who was real quiet was Vegas. I thought they would
Oh, yeah.
try to make some moves.
They didn't make any major moves, right?
They only got Riley Smith back, and that was about
Riley
it.
Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
They got their boy back. They got the prodigal son back.
Because
That's all.
Mark Stone didn't take some time off this year.
He didn't
He's
take-
like,
I thought Pachano was gonna take. I thought
no,
Pachano
he
turned-
came back. He was just he's like, I can't play and injure myself even more.
I thought, if you're going to get Riley Smith, go get Marcia Show, right? And bring the band back together.
You probably got him for like a discount.
Yeah, and
They would probably retain a bit in Nashville.
Marshall was Mr. Vegas, right?
Yeah,
he
he
was
was.
pretty solid for them in
He
every
was.
playoff run since their inception.
Yeah.
Maybe Vegas is looking at the situation like 2 years ago. We steamrolled the entire league. We won the cup. Last year we were kind of injured. We got bounced back.
Yeah.
I think we have a good enough team on paper to win it all. We'll find out if they need Marshall, so
Yeah,
right.
100%
They brought
now.
back Smith, but shit, bring back the band, man. If you're gonna bring back Riley Smith,
Even Edmonton didn't make any crazy moves.
Yeah,
I think Wallman. I think Wallman's a good defenseman, but he's not the defenseman they needed, in my opinion, because he's like an offensive puck moving kind of guy.
or is he?
that's all they want.
He's
dude.
not
That's
really
all-
a shutdown
We're
guy.
going 100% offense, no defense.
This is all from what I've seen him play with Detroit, and then a little bit from the Sharks. He obviously San Jose's not that great of a team.
Yeah.
But him playing with Detroit, even when Detroit wasn't a great team either. So like, who knows? Maybe he could like just like calm it down a bit.
I like it for the sole fact that they needed defenseman depth or like someone else to play decent
yeah.
minutes. Like it,
Yeah.
it was just
You know,
It was-
I think
bad back there.
he'll take over Nurse's minutes because he's left-handed too, and I think he'll take up.
he should take
the
up.
second slot.
He should also take up Evan Bouchard's minutes. If he's an offensive guy, I think he'll probably be better on the back end than Evan Bouchard, because Evan Bouchard, he has.
He's not having a good.
You
year
know,
either.
I was gonna show you guys a clip of him just quitting on the play. But
you can see there's a bunch of them. We saw it live one time, man, against Toronto when he was just quitting.
he just quits. He quits a lot on defensive moments when he needs to be engaged. He's not there,
Yeah.
and even on the offensive zone, it just seems like he's kind of lost as a player right now. But I was kind of shocked they didn't go for a goalie. We talked about them going for Gibson.
Gibson got hurt, I think.
I know Gibson got hurt in a game, but I was kind of shocked that they just didn't take Jordan said a previous thing. They just didn't trade for Gibson as a second, like a backup. Like, you know what I mean? Just have a second
tandem.
option.
like a tandem. Yeah,
Yeah, just
one-
have a
one A,
second
one
option.
B.
Like, you might as well. Like, you don't know. Like, you know.
they should be thinking all in.
Yeah,
right?
all in,
Because Connor McDavid, first off, he hasn't re-signed his
Yeah.
extension. Even if he re-signs, what's to say he's going to stay there for 8 years if you guys are going to be lollying around and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
going all in?
Yeah.
I see what you're trying to say, Sir Charles. I mean, I like Wallman, but they should have been doing a few more moves,
Oh, yeah.
considering that every other team loaded up that supposedly thinks they're going to win the
Yeah,
cup.
exactly.
And you're just going to be like, well, we have 97 and we'll take care
I
of it.
mean, are you going to beat Dallas this year? Like last year, they beat Dallas, but I don't know. Dallas loaded up. I mean,
Are they
They
gonna be
made moves.
Are they gonna be Colorado?
Are they gonna, even Colorado looks like a monster team too now, and Vegas is Vegas.
Vegas,
You gotta deal with those
and,
guys.
You know, they're in my opinion, they're number 4 in the West right now.
Yeah,
In my opinion,
I agree.
The only thing saving them really, and why I think they still have a chance, is because they're in the other division. They're going to
100%,
avoid
yeah.
those.
They're gonna play the
heavyweights.
Kings the first round, and then who they play the second round? Probably like.
Well, then they would be Vegas,
play
right?
Vegas, yeah, then
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta see someone at some
You
point.
gotta see
Right? Yeah, it is a
It's not
playoffs.
last year. The Canucks with Arthur Silva with that.
Yeah, you never know, man. We can get done. We can beat Vegas.
You never know. You know, 14 wildcard team right there.
you never know. We can stop pop.
I thought they would be in on Scott Laughton. I think the price why Scott Laughton's got another year.
Yeah,
His contract was really good. It was at $3 million.
yeah.
And for some reason, they still made Philly retain it.
Oh, that's
And maybe that's what led to the first.
Oh,
We're going
okay.
to retain this half of the salary. Now Scott Laughton's like at $1.5 million. That's like a.
There's
what?
a real good. Yeah, there's a
That's-
really good.
What's the minimum in the league now? Like one,
I think.
$1 million probably.
whatever it is. Like you're getting Scott Laughton on the minimum
Yeah.
for this year and next. That's a pretty good pickup from that perspective.
700,000.
Oh, still 775, eh?
Yeah, I don't think they're ever gonna change it.
Damn.
Keep these guys as broke as
Keep-
possible.
It's not like they have the revenue to really fall back on, right?
I think the one trade that wasn't really like a contender trade or like really made a team playoff team. I mean, Ottawa kind of is a playoff team, but like the Dylan Cousins for Josh Norris trade. I think that's just a kind of both guys were on the move, and they just felt like they were like, okay, we'll trade you to this guy, and you guys take this guy.
It's like we'll trade our young guy for your young
Yeah,
guy. I really like
exactly.
this move for Ottawa because
Yeah,
I do too.
Josh Norris has been in and out of the lineup for the last few years.
I also think Dylan Cousins kind of checked out in Buffalo. Like watching some of the clips that I've seen this season of him, like he got into a fight once and nobody's protecting him. He's getting his ass kicked. Now he goes on the team with Brady Tkachuk as your captain. He'll protect you, obviously.
Yeah.
But in Buffalo, there's scrums and stuff going on. He's really like checked out. He's not like getting involved. And I think now you're in the fight. You kind of have this extra motivation to be involved and like locked in. But one thing I'm worried about is for Ottawa is the Brady Tkachuk interview when he starts crying over his best friend leaving. Right.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. So, yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, it sucks. Losing a guy like that, obviously everybody knows how much he means to me. So,
Actually, like really close.
Yeah.
And there's this whole worry that Brady's gonna leave just like his brother left Calgary. And I wonder if this adds to it.
Well, if that adds to SP, but at the end of the day, you have to try to like do the best for your organization because that's gonna lead to Brady Tkachuk staying.
Mhm.
If your organization's not popping, he's gonna
That's
leave,
true.
right?
That's true.
Maybe that's why Matthew wanted to ultimately leave. If Calgary was popping off, you think he would
Yeah,
want
100%.
to leave,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like
He's not. He's staying.
But I feel like the Calgary rumors were starting like when they were actually still a good team.
right, but maybe he knew like we can't get over Edmonton.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
right,
like
and,
I think he knew that they weren't going to be at Edmonton.
And I think Ottawa just wants a chance in the playoffs.
Like for this situation, I think that Cousins is an upgrade over Norris,
Yeah.
health and even as a player.
And I think he's a little younger. If you
And he's younger. And let's say if Cousins starts balling out and turns into something decent or special,
Yeah.
then Brady Tkachuk's going to be liking that deal, right?
100%.
It's just still a business at the end of the day. He knows how it goes.
Yeah.
right?
Facts.
you know who they
It's
need?
going around a lot in the NHL recently. Everyone's
Yeah.
got best friends and like they get so
Emotional about it.
Yeah.
about these trades, right? I never used to hear about this 20 years ago.
Yeah. I
Right?
think because
You
now
heard Kelly Rudy. You gotta get someone in there. Talk to these guys. You know, you gotta get someone in there. You know, Danny Albertson has to come down himself. And be like, yo, guys, we're doing it for you. We're trying to make the playoffs. All right, we're doing this for you guys. Don't worry about your best friend. Right? Well, you'll meet him this offseason. All right? Don't worry about it. Relax.
Ottawa made another good deal. We don't have to talk about in great detail though. They got Zetterlund from San Jose.
Oh yeah.
They didn't really pay too much for that.
Sneaky trade.
Yeah,
I wonder why San Jose would trade Zetterlund though. Like they're a young team still.
right.
I was kind of surprised by that.
I was honestly looking at the Canucks like, yo, you could have traded Brock Besser and gotten 60% of Brock Besser and Zetterlund.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And but that's something we're gonna talk about later on because I don't really want to go on a little tangent.
Yeah,
here.
we'll talk about Brock after. All right, boys. Did any of these trades push a team into being like the top contender in their conference?
You're the biggest Colorado guy I know, so that's why I want to ask this question.
I don't think they're good. Actually, you know what? I think they can hang against Vegas. I think they can beat Vegas.
Here's my question: Who did you have winning the conference before, Zach?
I had Vegas winning it.
So you had Vegas versus.
I had
Florida?
Vegas versus Florida. I think Florida's still the Eastern Conference. They're still the top
Yeah.
dog. They're not losing to anybody on that team, especially now that Carolina took a hit. You know, New York Rangers, their future's still up, and like they gotta win. They gotta win so many games just to make the playoffs now. But so I think Florida's chilling.
Mm-hmm.
But on the West, it's a toss up for me right now. I think the fact that they made a lot of moves, Dallas and Colorado, I think they kind of pushed themselves into those 1-2 spot for me. I would take Colorado just on the fact I've always been a guy, you know, you got to go with the superstar.
Yeah.
If you got the superstar, you win it, in my opinion. So Nathan McKinnon, you know what? Cale Makar, you're carrying me. And you know who's coming back? Their Kendrick Perkins is coming back. Landeskog, right? And guess what? They don't want to see him out here.
Is he actually coming back?
Dude, we've been saying he's coming back.
I don't think so. He's back because making videos and like, oh, it's been such a hard road.
Yeah, there's a documentary coming out for him, right?
Don't worry about it. He'll be back. All right,
Are you coming back or no? Right? Because like, what's going on?
He's coming back.
I don't need a documentary
now. Bro.
Forget that's not Kendrick Perkins. The Kendrick Perkins move I did like was it bringing back Eric Johnson.
Oh yeah,
Just
that
having like
is
an old
fair.
veteran like as your.
That is.
And they didn't really pay like Luke Shan premium for him, right? Like I never knew Luke Shan had value like this at this stage of his career. But yeah, Colorado definitely sent a message, right? Like we're not fucking around. I personally,
I know you and Strategy have always been high on Dallas. So do you think they're the guys now? They're the team to be.
I think I had who did I have? I had Vegas winning it just like you did, and now I think Dallas has it. Is theirs.
No, because I know
as long as they're healthy, they're fully healthy. They're a team that's deadly from top to bottom.
Because I know you've been battling between Vegas and Dallas this entire time. Even in the beginning,
I started with Dallas, went to Vegas, and came back to Dallas.
Yeah, and Jordan's always been high. You know, they got the three great defensemen.
It's gonna come down, in my opinion. I got to see Mikko Rantanen in the playoffs with this team.
Yeah,
right. Because like everyone talks about his playoff performances and everything he's done, but that was all Colorado, and it could be a lot on Nathan McKinnon's back.
Yeah,
if he's like what he's been showing in Carolina, closer towards that. Then I don't know, man. I don't think Dallas has enough to beat Colorado. To be frank, right? They can't beat that track meet. But if he turns out to be like an 80-point guy around there, maybe 85, 90-point guy, then I think Dallas is his team to beat because Dallas is his stack because you got Robertson, he's back. Yeah, he's playing well, and you got Michael Granlund, who you added. Yeah, Hintz, and then you have the old guys like you were saying, Charles. Like how are you going to beat this team, considering that this team is a defensive system type of team, right? You have Ottinger in net, and then you have the three-headed defenseman that you have to deal with. I think if you look at this team top to bottom, I think they might be the most stacked top to bottom, other than Florida maybe. I think this team is the most stacked when you look at it throughout the roster from forwards all the way down to goalies. Yeah. Like Vegas, you could like kind of nitpick at some of their, like they could pick that, they could be like, oh, Aiden Hill, you know, he's not the best goalie, right? You could always nitpick out there like other like their lower forwards that they aren't the best. But I think if you take the top three lines of Vegas and you take their top three defensemen and you take the goalies, like they could go against anybody. Yeah, there's like only Florida's the only team I think that beats them in that consideration because Florida's like third line is basically a second line in any other team. And this is a team that's made deep playoff runs the last 5 years. I think at least 3 of them. Yeah, they've taken out Colorado twice. Like this is a good playoff team. Yeah, they're not a joke at all. Their guys have gotten it done in the playoffs to that extent. And that's why it's going to be the key is going to be Mikko Rantanen because he's the piece. Facts. And he's the piece that they needed. They needed like a dynamic offensive player to push them over the hump. Because they lacked scoring otherwise, right? Yeah. I think he found out what the proof was in the pudding, right? That's why he signed that $12 million deal. Yeah. He wasn't getting that 13, 14 like he thought. 100%. Yeah. You know, I do like what Colorado did though. Like I think they're close to being my second choice. I think Vegas still got to be number 2, just because the Pacific Division is not as strong as Central. I feel like at this point, maybe we'll see. But I think. With Colorado, I think I like how they added Coyle and what's his face Nelson, because now you have Nikash and you can just change up all these guys up the middle because now you have like 4 solid guys. All of them can play center. You can move them around. You can shift up your lineup. I think they have a lot of options to work with now. I do not want to see Colorado in the playoff series, right? Because McKinnon, and then you got Brock Nelson out there, and then you have even Martin Necas. No, Martin Necas is going to be with like McKinnon. He's going to do his own thing, but then you got Charlie Coyle. Yeah, it's like good luck competing against your boy. Promo, the old Dallas coach, what's his name? That was coaching them during the Stanley Cup when they went to the finals. Rick Bowness. Yeah, Rick Bowness. He's like, you know, Rantanen and Hintz, you know, who swapped them? Ain't nobody swapped those two. Rantanen, clearly. He's like Rantanen and Aho. Who swapped that? Rantanen did, right? Like, Rantanen looking around for 29 to come save him. You're not skating fast enough for me, bro. Like, you gotta pick up the speed. You gotta get everybody to draw attention to you, and then I gotta come in slowly and get a shot. Yeah. I'm a trigger man. I'm just here, waiting for the one-timer. Still waiting. And, I don't think in the future, let's say that Rantanen shits the bed, Dallas is going to have too big of a problem to move that contract because 12 is not too bad.
100%.
But man, like if you're Mikko Rantanen, this is kind of like an indictment on your game.
Yeah, now it's do or die. Now it's do or die. Time to show what's up. Because if you don't, like, now you got 20 games, right? People will give him the benefit of the doubt for 2 weeks, right, to build up his chemistry with the team. So, and when the playoffs start, they're gonna expect you to be that guy.
All eyes are on him then.
All eyes are on you now. Like, you can't hide and be like, oh, I'm gonna go play half my game that I used to play. Now you got to be the guy that comes out and point per game guy. You got to be scoring at least. If you're playing 10 games, you got to be at least scoring 5 goals in those 10 games, right?
Something like that for sure. Because otherwise,
what
excuses are there for, right, Razak? Like that forward group, we haven't even talked about. Is Mason Marchment still there?
Yeah,
and they still got that young guy, Wyatt Johnson, that they locked up. Like, how many bona fide top 9 forwards do these guys have? Right?
I think him and Wyatt Johnson would be like a better duo than him and Hintz. Because I think Wyatt Johnson can carry the puck up the ice.
Yeah. Rick Bowness knows better.
That's true. He did coach the team.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you, Sir Todd. That's what I was thinking, and that's why I like this Florida moves a little better in terms of fit.
Yeah,
right.
Because those guys they already have the core puck moving and everything like that too. Yeah. Barkov can move the puck up the ice. Matthew Tkachuk can move the puck up the ice. Right. These other guys just need to they're a perfect fit. They're like final pieces of the puzzle. Pretty much what those guys are. Yeah,
and there's enough talent there that hopefully Mikko Rantanen can find someone and build some chemistry. It's clear that he was having difficulties in Carolina.
Yeah,
the way he was playing 7 points in 13 games.
I think so.
Right?
No, I think it was lower than that.
It was 6 or 12.
Probably like a half a point a game.
Yeah,
right. A guy who was 1.2.
Yeah,
or even higher.
Yeah, I think he only had 3 goals in those.
Vegas, I think. Honestly, in terms of contenders in the West, after what I saw in the Four Nations, I don't know if anyone's being 97.
Yeah,
97 is kind of cold. I mean, I think 97 is waiting for the playoffs to step up.
Right?
I think 97 is just well, you guys get me there and I'll fucking turn it on.
Hey, Leon's killing it too. Leon's
but you know who's beating 97 in the playoffs? Stuart Skinner, Evan Bouchard. Evan Bouchard, when he has a puck in his own zone or he loses it and he has to go skate back, he'll probably walk back a bit, let them get a breakaway.
Yeah.
They've earned a benefit of the doubt to the point that they made it to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I guess that's what you can say about Stuart Skinner. I'm with you, SB. It's a little shaky, but if everything went well last year for them, they made Game 7 of the Finals. If everything goes well again, they could make the Finals.
I think the only way they go to Game 7 of the Finals is if McDavid and Leon play 35 minutes and Ekholm plays 35 minutes a night too, because that's what it's gonna have to take for them to be that far, man.
If they run into Vegas, I think that's their problem right there. Because last year, once again, Vancouver Canucks were no Vegas Golden Knights last year,
and I think they I think
nothing close.
To be honest, I think they have a better chance against Dallas because I think Dallas plays a more defensive game first. Rather than off more of a balance, Dallas is keen on being defense, and that works for I think in my opinion that works for Oilers. If
you're sitting back, they're gonna
pounce on that. They're gonna just be all over you, so that works for them. They don't have to worry about playing defense if you're gonna be playing defense all the entire game. So I kind of feel like this Rantanen trade helps them now because now you could actually muster a counterattack against the Oilers. Now the Oilers got to recognize who's on the ice all the time now. Rather than last year, I don't think like when you look at the team, you're like, who's the threat? Like, I'm scared of Jason Robertson.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm scared of
right.
What was what's his name? Miro Heiskanen gonna take it coast to coast? No.
Yeah, he will. He'll show you too. But
no, he won't.
Now that they have this top line guy, like you're saying, Razak, is going to be so difficult to deal with Dallas, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't put them at number 1 right now until I see Mikko Rantanen play with them in the playoffs. Forget the regular season.
Yeah.
If I had to choose the team right now, I'm going to Edmonton, man. 4 Nations. I'm Canadian, baby. Connor McDavid, he's the guy, man.
I took Nathan McKinnon. He won MVP of the tournament, dog.
There's motherfucking stop out.
I also gotta apologize because we shit on Blackwood, we shit on him. Look at him. He's balling.
I'm still shitting on him. Wait till I gotta see him in the playoffs. You want to go fucking play empty calories?
He around. Hey, we give him no chance.
I'm still giving him no chance. All right, there's a difference between the regular season and the playoffs.
That's true.
For a lot of these guys.
That's true.
And it's gonna be interesting to find with these trade deadline moves. Who's gonna pound and who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
In the East, I agree with you, Razak. Like Tampa loaded up with these middle 6 forwards, but they're nowhere near the class of Florida.
But I do think Tampa is one team that increased his stock where other teams still are where I saw them before.
Definitely.
But I think Tampa just did the old trick. They just brought in all the old guys that they like.
Yeah, they brought
they brought the bad back together. But is that gonna work now? It's been 5 years since they won a cup.
Yanni Gord's a lot older. But
Yeah,
exactly.
And like how many like you already like Kucherov's already pissed that you're not playing him because you benched him halfway through a 6-5 game. Like he wants to get his points, all right? He needs his points. Like what are you doing, Cooper?
Well, Cooper's saying that I'm the reason that Tampa's been so successful all these years. Forget like a
I won.
generational.
Panda won. Did you play? No, you
Forget
didn't
this
play.
generational atomic weapon who broke the 140-point barrier in this new generation in the NHL.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who got everything done.
Forget
for the
the Russian goalie that's 6'7". Forget the Swedish defenseman that's been holding it
6'6".
down.
Yeah.
Forget about them. It's me. I've been the guy.
team. The problem with them bringing the band back together is they had Mikhail Sergachev, they had Ryan McDonough, they had McDonough's back, but they don't have Sergachev on the blue line.
Sergachev was better than
Yeah,
McDonough was.
They were more stacked, they were more formidable.
100%.
And if right now they were around like 50 to 60% before the trade deadline of what they were when they won the cups, right? They're currently like at what 80%, 75. They're still not where they need to be, and Florida is still at that 100% level. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Florida's gonna be tough to
They're
beat.
still them.
But Bobrovsky gets hurt. Anything's possible,
Anything's
right?
possible.
Yeah.
Hey, anything's possible if a player. Hey, I think if Barkov goes down, the whole system goes down.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah,
honest, like
right.
what is Kachuk going to show us? Like Kachuk, we seen you be the number one guy on a Calgary team. You know what? We seen what happens in the playoffs. You ain't that guy.
That's
so.
true.
He's your boy, man.
Chuck doesn't come
Yeah.
back.
Oh, then they're cooked. I think they're cooked.
Another problem.
That's another problem.
I think
Because
he'll come
Barkov also has shown us without Kachuk he ain't shit either. So it works both ways. So.
Yeah, they need each other.
Yeah,
They
they
know each
yeah,
other.
yeah.
They're good
Definitely.
symbiosis. I don't even know if that word is real.
All right, trade deadline's over. A lot of good teams got better, and a lot of good teams are still okay. Playoffs are right around the corner. Get ready for more playoff hockey content. This is a roundtable discussion. Subscribe, like, comment. We'll see you next time.
Check
Peace.
us out.